All right, still with me is civil and trial attorney Sarah Klein. Sarah, first and foremost, let me get your opinion on this $27 million settlement that the Floyd family was able to sort of pull out of the city and the various police officers involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a powerful statement that the city was willing to sort of stand behind the Floyd family and, in essence, stand behind the community. It's a big statement, and hopefully can provide some real healing for this family who's been through a lot.
You know, as I monitor social media, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going on, and that's sort of the fun of the social media. But one of the rumors going around right now is, and we've heard this before in other cases, specifically the Breonna Taylor case, that this settlement is really buying off the public, that this is sort of a precursor to the cops getting off. I don't buy it. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, what people might not understand is the civil and criminal process, they're exclusive of each other. So they're not happening together. There aren't legal teams on the civil side meeting and talking to the team from the criminal side. Sometimes there is open communication between the two sides, but these are two separate legal teams with two separate objectives. And so we have the criminal side looking at guilty or innocent and what degree of guilt if they do find guilt. And then we have the civil side looking at liability. And the civil case is actually brought by the family, unlike the criminal case, which is brought by the state. So these things are operating separately. I don't see how there could be any sort of collusion between these two sides, and I don't buy the buying off argument at all.
But so many of these things, Sarah, now you've been involved, I'm sure, in many of these types of negotiations. They're about the appearance of propriety. And at the end of the day, you have the AG's son on the city council. And then you have this sort of weird confluence of events where it's announced at this point, you have the use of the words unanimous and different things, and it doesn't create a very good optic.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird timing, certainly for sure. But then you ask yourself, what would be good timing for the announcement of the $27 million? And, after the jury's chosen, maybe. But, the fact is wherever you go, however far you kick this thing down the road, it's going to be tricky to get a fair and impartial jury. I think they're doing a pretty good job, and I think Judge Cahill is doing an excellent job being neutral in all of this as his job dictates. But it's a tough situation. It's an emotionally charged situation. And so it's tricky. As you said, it's very, very layered, and we'll kind of see how it unfolds.
Yeah, when I look at it, if I was one of the civil attorneys, and I want to put you in the shoes of the civil attorneys for the Floyd family, normally, right, you would wait for the criminal case to play out, because if you get a conviction, then you can probably get more money on the other end. But in this case, it's a little different, because right now, I believe that their leverage is actually the best. Because once you get a conviction, then the public is sort of placated and they feel good about that. And then the money may not be as important. So right now, perhaps their leverage is greatest. And then from the city's point of view, they're just interested, and it's been clear from the very beginning, they just want to move forward and help this city heal.
Yeah, interestingly, you do see the civil process play out concurrently with the criminal process, or even come before the criminal process, because you sometimes see criminal convictions born out of the how did this happen piece of the civil process. So it's not so unusual. It is unusual, but it's not so unusual to see this series of events.
Describe that for me. I'm not sure I understand what you mean, and come out of the how did this happen part of the civil suit.
Yeah, sometimes a civil suit, so the civil suit is looking at the how piece, right? You're looking at sort of who, what, when, where, why, how, and is there liability or no liability? A criminal conviction can make that easier, but sometimes it works the other way around, right? I work in sexual abuse, and sometimes by understanding the who, what, when, where, why, we can get a better understanding of the criminal piece and use that to use the civil piece to get a conviction. So it's not so unusual in my work as a civil lawyer to do the civil piece first. I think in a case this high profile, to come out on a Friday with a $27 million civil verdict is a big deal and is a bit surprising. But I don't think it's really going to affect this thing one way or another. It is just a message from the city saying we're taking responsibility for the fact that a man is dead here, and standing with our community. And I think there is that safety piece too. They want the community to begin to heal, and they don't want violence born out of violence, right? And that would be sort of the worst case scenario, is if we saw more violence born out of this really tragic situation.
And so ultimately, what do you think Judge Cahill will do with that motion for continuance? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, the fact that perhaps a continuance doesn't solve the problem here, but do you think, again, he might grant that just in case? Because, of course, as we mentioned earlier, this is an appealable issue.
Yeah, I don't think he will. He obviously could, but I think if he denied it the first time, he'll deny it again because it's not really going to make a difference, right? And so, moving dates, moving venues, all of the different things the defense has to, if they're doing their jobs well, argue for. It's not going to make a difference ultimately. And I think Judge Cahill is reasonable. I think he's going to get that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Everything points to him continuing this train moving on down the track. All right, Sarah Klein, you stick around. You're going to help me sift through some viewer comments when we come back. Now, you guys have been sharing your opinions with us on social